it's just one of those
And
home
we're
nation
live.
things. Oh,
Mm. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast, where we venture our petty and ill-informed opinion about certain topics. Joining me, as always, from the sunny slopes of Tennessee, Nikki.
Hey.
And from the shores of the Emerald Isle, Kivo.
commiserations, brother.
And from 32 Tristram Lane in Kent, Tom.
Yep, it was always.
Brilliant. And I am your incredibly inebriated host, Richard James Allen. The J stands for Judas. Without further ado, let's hit this track. So, what's going on, guys, this week, Nikki?
Nothing. I'm not doing.
Nothing.
I'm just working. It's been a really rainy, stupid ass week. So that's it.
All right, Kevin.
Nothing important. My life is lame.
Sam had some Native American friends come down from Whistler in Canada, and so they've been here for a couple of days, and so I am completely knackered. They went down to another reservation down south from here today to go to a powwow, and I overdid it trying to clean up the house. I haven't been sleeping in my own bed because I gave it up for another lady, and so I'm back to normal now. And so you could tell whenever I came onto the show that I was very excited about that. I'm not excited to see them go because they're lovely people. They're great folks, and we talk about all kinds of different stuff. But at the same time, you know how it is. You like to get your house back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like people. I just like them over there.
Yeah,
over there.
Yeah, not in my space.
Not here. Not here. There.
Although,
Tom, what's going on with you?
Oh no, I will say this though. I did forget to get them to get like Mars bars from Canada and bring them down. Oh, and also
Aero bars. That's
there's these things that Canadians can get, but we can't get them in America. They're called codeine with Tylenol.
Yeah. Well,
because apparently Americans are just too stupid to not overdose on them, so therefore none of us can get any pain relief.
Wait a second. So, listen, I just literally had that conversation with my pain clinic.
Yes.
This week.
Well, you don't deserve it. Take Advil and Tylenol because apparently that solves everybody's problems.
Right.
Especially whenever you break your ribs.
I have a rare genetic, disorder, and it causes chronic pain along with the fact that my spine is all jacked up and all sorts of other stuff going on. And so I was like, listen, is there no way you can just prescribe me 5 narcotics? You don't have to put a refill on it, and maybe I bug you in a few more months for 5 more because I literally just need it on days when I can't function. And she said it's not indicated. It's not. So the only time it's indicated is if you're terminal or you're post-op. So people with chronic
pain, I mean, listen, I'm considering moving the fuck out of this country just because I feel like I'm a toddler. And almost any other nation in the world, I can go into a pharmacy and get Tylenol with codeine in it and not have to pretend that I'm going to suck a dick to get some.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't even asking for like Oxy or any. I was asking for 5, just 5.
No, I totally.
And she really did. She acted like I was. She's like, well, you'll take one, you'll get out of pain, you'll decide you like it, and you'll take another. And I said, that's not.
Yeah.
How that works. I have
because you don't have any. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Are you an alcoholic, Nikki?
Nope.
Have you ever had a drink? Have you ever had a drink? Did you like it? Did you like it at any? Okay, yeah. Did you become an addict?
Nope. And I only smoke a pack of cigarettes a week. A week. And I was telling them that. I was like, listen, guys, like, I don't have an addictive.
When did this happen? Did this happen? Is this a Donald Trump fucking thing?
No, it's not. So what happened was Purdue Pharma came out with Oxy. They they were prescribing Oxy for moderate pain, which means Kevin, you go to the hospital, you have a headache. Guess what? We'll give you some oxy. And then when they started taking it, and of course, you know, if you drink enough alcohol, if you take enough of whatever, you build up a tolerance. So
Right.
you need more. So they just kept doubling it. And people were ODing and dying because they just kept doubling their doses. And so we went all the way from just handing them out like candy
Right.
to, unless you were physically dying, they refused to give you any kind of opiates in the US.
Well,
And so it's all Purdue Pharma's fault for
no,
doing
I
what they did
understand.
with Oxy.
I understand that, and okay. So I get the fact that Purdue Pharma made a mistake. I also get the
They
fact
didn't
that
make a mistake. They were unethical. They knew that it was
wow,
addictive. They
right,
went out and intentionally went after um, poor cities. I
right.
mean, they did
But
that
but
intentionally.
the very idea of prescription drugs being within my control to go get as much as I want,
Yeah.
sort of goes past someone else's responsibility. The responsibility of the person who now says, "Oh, you don't need that."
Right.
So the same person who 2 years ago would have been like, "Oh, here you go, buddy, load you up."
Yeah.
You know, did you just have your wisdom teeth out? Here's 60 pills. Now they're like, "Oh, there's 5."
Yeah.
The exact same person who then at no point in time takes responsibility for their shit.
Right.
Even though I can't get it, I can't make it, I can't get it. So the only way that I can get pain relief now is to get it illegally. Thank you very much.
Right. And see, they're actually trying to fix it. But like in other countries, you can also go to the pharmacy and say, hey, I have a tooth abscess. I need cephalexin. And they'll just be like, cool, here's some antibiotics. You can't do
Right.
that in the US. They won't even give you antibiotics at the pharmacy without a prescription. But so we're actually trying to pass laws right now to kind of reverse what we've done, because doctors are going, hey, you do realize that people with chronic pain now are killing themselves at a higher rate than what COVID was killing people, right?
Right.
Like you do realize that, yeah, people aren't ODing on Oxy anymore.
Yeah. They're just
doing
shooting
it with
themselves in the
heroin.
head with their pistols.
They're killing themselves, or they're ODing on heroin, because there are
Right.
people like me who are trying to get relief in the proper avenues. But at what point do they go, you have no, like, they don't give you any kind of autonomy over your own body. She didn't
No.
say, hey, this is highly addictive. You could feel this way and this way. It was, you will feel this way and this way, and we can't do anything about it. You
Yeah.
know, that's my choice. You shouldn't just go, who cares if this person's terminal? We'll just pop them up with morphine and opiates as much as they want, because they're going to die anyway and it's going to kill their body.
Right.
Why can't I make that decision too? Like, why can't I go, you know what? I only want 5 every couple of months just to
Right.
like
Well,
live.
all I could say is, you know, imagine,
It's
you
messed
know,
up.
an oxy on the street. What's that like? It goes for like 15 to 20 bucks now.
Yeah.
So thanks
Yeah.
for that. So the good part about it is lots of people are making
Yep.
extra
Gabby
money.
says fentanyl, and that is a big one too. And people don't realize that, like, when we give fentanyl, like in a surgery setting, it is a micro dose of fentanyl. It's such a small amount. And then you have these people that don't realize it, and they're like, fentanyl. And then they just OD like immediately, because they don't realize how small of an amount you need. It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah. All right.
So
Well,
yeah,
okay,
our
okay,
drug problem is way
okay.
worse.
Yeah,
I'm very passionate about that. I'm not fussing at you, but you're right. It's bullshit.
I'm not trying to take it out on. I'm not trying to take it out on you. It just
Oh no,
just
you're
doesn't
not.
make.
It
It
doesn't
doesn't.
make sense.
I've
It
got a
isn't
chronically ill. I've
frustrating.
got a wife with chronic pain issues. She doesn't.
Yep.
She has tried everything in the book to try, but I'm a grumpy old bastard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't. You know, whatever you used to be able to be in the military and have like Omnipom or some kind of a opioid around your neck, where if you got shot you could stab yourself in the leg, and it to now I go, can I please have a Tylenol 3, sir?
Yeah. No, because codeine is a controlled substance. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I did. What did
Yeah. No,
Go-
and Sam's right to be. I mean, I know Sam has a lot of stuff going on, and she's probably
Yeah.
like me, where they're like, "Oh, we really wish we could help you, but
Yeah.
I guess you're just gonna have to live with the pain. How
Well,
about I give you, like they're making me an ointment, right? Like it's
right.
gonna have the muscle relaxer and all of that stuff inside the ointment, so that I'm not physically taking a pill. However, with someone like Sam, like she would probably have to bathe in it, just like I would, for it to actually be
Right.
effective on all of the
Well,
problematic parts.
here's the thing: are you creating? You're creating a group of people who cannot cope with the pain, and so therefore will be on. I hope they realize the amount of people on medical disability will have to, by definition, go way up because people will not be able to cope with the pain, and that's what they'll
Yeah,
just sit around for the vast majority of their life, 60 years in chronic pain until they die. And somebody's got to pay for those people because
yeah.
apparently we're not going to, so we're going to have to pay for that. And then, the quality of life of people are going to go way down. And so that's the way it is. I mean, that's the problem. There's unintended consequences for all these different things. And as you said, I can imagine how suicide has gone
Oh yeah.
completely through the roof.
I know, I know in my Ellers Danlos communities they drop like flies. Once they started taking it away, there have been mothers who have written their husbands letters, went out to the woods and shot themselves so the kids wouldn't find them. Like
Yep.
that kind of shit, like that level of I can't handle. And it's not that they're depressed or they're feeling unloved or whatever. It's just
No.
it's also a physically vicious cycle because the chronic pain makes you depressed,
Yes.
which makes your chronic pain worse,
Yes.
which makes you more depressed, which makes the pain worse, and it
Right.
just builds. And they just refuse to help people in America. It's really kind of bullshit. I didn't even know that you could get Tylenol 3 in Canada. That's crazy.
Yeah. You go to the pharmacy and say, I would like Tylenol 3, and they say, how much would you like?
Wow.
How believe in that? Believe that. Yeah, there you go.
Wow. Well,
Because
I go
apparently
to Canada
people
every year,
who were born 55 miles away from me, where I am now, not where I was born, but 55 miles away from where I am currently, have sense, and we do not.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes. And the only thing that makes a difference is a border
Yep.
and a passport.
Yep.
I think you should just tell all people from Guatemala and everybody in Mexico that they can't get painkillers here. And maybe everybody will move to Mexico.
Right.
There you are.
It's cheaper there.
Now, we were talking about this just earlier this week, weren't we, Niki? And if anyone wants to know more about Purdue and OxyContin, there's an outstanding TV series called
Dope Sick.
Dope Sick. That's
It's
it.
got Michael Keaton, and it is incredibly accurate, actually.
Well, I'm glad you think so because I found it compelling viewing.
It was incredibly compelling, but it's very accurate. Purdue did that on purpose. They really did, and they went after poor communities. They got them addicted. Like they did it. They didn't care to help anybody. And what's sad is that's where the whole, on a scale from 1 to 10, what's your pain? We didn't have that before then. It wasn't considered a quote unquote vital sign, and we still use it even though it's absolute shit. It would be nice if they would, help with pain, but they don't.
It's unbelievable how, the backlash has just gone way too far.
Yeah, they went from one extreme to a totally different one.
Oh God, feel for you, buddy.
Well, it just goes to show you that, holding big corporations to account for their misjudgments and immorality and unethical behavior only hurts us, the citizens.
That's very true. And also, here's the thing. It also has to do about money, doesn't it? Because in no world should someone be taking propofol to go to bed like Batson or several other celebrities who are taking propofol. Like, seriously? that's allowed, right? You're just going to put someone that's totally fine, on propofol because they can't sleep. That's bullshit.
Right. I mean,
so it's also a money thing. If I had more money, if I was rich, they'd probably put me on.
Oh, if you had cash, there would be no problem with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if I had cash, because then they wouldn't have to go through the insurance company.
Right. That's the thing about it. If you
but supposedly our doctors can actually go to jail for prescribing it.
Oh yeah, they can. They can, and it depends on what state you're in and everything else.
Yeah.
But but there's a lot of states that are actually doing something that's like like a patient's pain bill of rights that says we feel that that patients shouldn't have to suffer in pain the whole time. I mean, that's the extent that it has to go to, is to
Absolutely.
say that in writing that well, I mean, and what good does that do? But in the whole thing about it is that technically we shouldn't have to be in pain.
Correct.
That if we have,
but also illness. You can be smart about it. When you have someone who's been going to you for 3 years and has never asked you for anything except for a prescription NSAID, and then they come to you finally after 3 years and say, hey, this isn't working for me, my life sucks ass.
Yeah,
maybe give them something, give them a break. But they were like, you can come in and get a shot of Toradol, and I was like, I can do that anywhere.
Yeah, but that's the risk. You see, here's the thing about it is that again, this has to do with the idea of, if you had a concierge doctor or somebody who was so rich that they wouldn't have to have a huge practice with people in and out of the door, they would be able to do it. But they're making an evaluation of who you are by your medical records and how you look and what type of insurance you have on it.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, that's the way that goes. It's just like, if you really wonder, I'm sure that if they did a study of who gets it, based on what kind of insurance you have, like if you have Medicare or Medicaid, you ain't getting it.
Correct.
Because they already think that you're a scumbag.
But
you know
I'm
what
running
I'm saying?
around with Cigna, which is one of the best that you can get now.
I understand, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is where they're also making other type of assumptions by what part of town you live in and what car did you drive up in, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, if you, like you said, you were talking before the show that you live in the same town that Justin Timberlake is from. Now, if we hear that Justin Timberlake died of an opioid thing as a prescription of his doctor tomorrow, none of us would be surprised that he got it.
Right.
None of us. Yeah. Anyway.
It's stupid.
And what did you do this week, Richard?
Oh, just usual Richard stuff. Joyfully participated in the sorrow of the world. But I was excited to see the Last of Us trailer finally dropped for the Netflix show. It's been in development for a couple of years. One of the best video games ever made. They made a TV show about it. And it definitely should translate well, because it was more of a movie than a game.
Well, I hope so. I hope it does, and I hope that it's everything that we want it to be. But part of the problem is it's so hit or miss with these different shows that come up on these different things. I mean, I remember when it seemed like if you had a script at one point in time, Netflix would develop it. You know what I mean? And it didn't matter how good of a show it was or a bad show or anything like that. They were just so hungry for development that it seemed like that boat has passed. You know what I mean? But some people got their content on it. Even in the Bigfoot world, some people got their content on Netflix. But at this point, we've gone past that now, because we really have entered into the post sort of network era. I think, you know what I mean? Does anybody even know what's on any of the networks anymore? as far as like what's on NBC or CBS. Or
I can tell you what's on Peacock because I have their streaming service, but I don't know when things are on Peacock.
Right, but I mean, is that current? Is that current stuff you're watching, or is that like I'm watching like old episodes of Chips and the Love Boat?
Yeah, Chips. No, I'm watching old episodes of Park and Rec in The Office.
Chips. Oh, that takes me back.
Man, I do love Chips. Chips is great.
Oh, me and my little brother, we were very, very young and we used to watch Chips. We just watched the title sequence and then of them riding their motorbikes around the Los Angeles or wherever it was set. And then we wouldn't have a clue what was going on when the story started. We were sort of oblivious to it. But I remember, I remember it was one of those. It's not a show that's dated particularly well, but it is what it is. It's cool.
But it's interesting that things like ITV and BBC seem to do sort of these sort of things in association with these major American streamers and providers. You know what I mean? It seems to me that they were way ahead of the game in some cases, and it is interesting that I was watching like ITV on their ITV player, and it is interesting that they've taken a lot of that sort of content and put it onto BritBox. Which they have in America now, and they've had for a while, but all the old programs and stuff like that you used to be able to watch.
I sub to BritBox.
Yeah.
I do. I sub to it. I watched all the QI series on it. Are You Being Served?
Right.
All of those.
Yes.
Good stuff. I love BritBox.
But nobody's a bigger John Inman's fan than Richard. Everybody knows that, Mr. Humphreys.
One thing that you notice is when I talk to the kids I teach, it's getting to the point where there are kids that have not heard of DVDs, and there are kids that have not heard of like a program being on at a particular time. They are completely. They get all their media through streaming, and we're getting to the point where literally there are kids who you teach now who like 10, 12 years old who only know streaming. And they have no memory of a time where the idea that there's a time that TV programs are on is anathema to them.
Right. Well, it is interesting.
The whole way TV has been before streaming is something they do not even know exists. It's really weird, but that's the wheel of time, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that, whenever, the very first song on MTV was Video Killed the Radio Star, right?
And it really did. And that was a great video.
Right. But think about it now. I think that, to be honest with you, people still listen to the radio, but they don't watch TV in the same sense of like television networks. There's still radio. Well, I understand that, but
I listen the fuck out of the radio. I love
that. I think a lot of people though don't. Like I listened to 41,000 plus minutes on Spotify this year.
Right.
125 different genres. Like I remember commercials. I remember before the internet and cell phones. I cannot do commercials anymore. Fuck that.
Yeah, it is. But I remember being in Bangor and Northern Ireland and listening to people whenever they used to stream like songs over the radio stations on their cell phones and that. You know what I mean? And thinking to myself like, okay, like we've gone from boom boxes to now just listening to songs on a crappy, just total, tweeter basis, without any bass whatsoever on it, and thinking that was good. And then
I have a surgeon who refuses to listen to music off a cell phone. We have to Bluetooth it into a speaker. He will not allow us to listen to like all the other surgeons. I just turn on my cell phone, I turn it up, we have a good time. He's like, absolutely not. He bought speakers for the ORs just so that he didn't have to listen to it through.
Well, it's because
if I could just go back a bit here, What annoys me the most about commercials is that they're completely unnecessary. Now that we know how to do sponsored content, we don't need commercials anymore. We could just have the show where, like, if you're watching a crime show, the detective can just pause for 5 seconds and be like, I really need a bottle of refreshing Coca-Cola. You know, we don't need commercials. That's what's annoying about them.
Right.
You could just do sponsored content. The detectives could be sponsored by Adidas.
Right.
It could be over their badges.
Right. You could have, for example, somebody in an old folk show, like the old show, like Waiting for God, sponsored by the Pans or something.
Exactly.
Yes.
You could just have sponsored content throughout the episode and no commercial breaks.
Well, what I thought, kind of going along with that idea now, and I'm on Coronation Street this week, right there, the daughter of a serial killer was trying to figure out about her dad, and she find a tape, and this person's like a 12, supposed to be like 10 or 12 or something like that. So she had to look up on the internet how to play a videotape, and then had to go try to find like a tape, like a cassette tape player, so she could listen to what her dad listens to. Tom's right in the way that, like kids in a cassette tape, you'd think, it's just not that they don't have a clue. It's just like doing Google research on how to rewind a tape and listen to it. Bizarre.
Oh, those were the worst days ever when you had to rewind tapes.
Right.
Yeah, that sucked. Or like whenever you're waiting to record a song on the radio and it cuts off like 3 seconds of the last song before that because you didn't let it play long enough after.
Right. Or the announcer stepped on the first 3 seconds of the song just because he knew that you were going to try to tape it.
Right.
But that's the way that goes. But the mixtape was an art. The mixtape was an art that we don't do anymore. I'm not single, but in the single world, do people now just send people mixtapes?
You make Spotify playlists, or we just
playlists, yeah.
Or it's not a mixtape. Like, we're not going to hand you a DVD or a CD or a tape, like a cassette tape. But like, I can literally make I have playlists that I share with friends because that's how we share music. Or I have single friends who, when they're dating someone, they just send a YouTube link to a song.
Right. But but the whole art of the mixtape was that
you had to decorate it and shit.
Well, yeah, you decorated it, and every song built on the other song. You know what I mean? There was an art to it. It wasn't just a compilation. It wasn't just various artists.
Well, I get that. Yeah, you wanted. I've done mixtapes in my life. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I just want to. And a good playlist does that. You know what I mean? Not even like an Apple playlist or whatever. But
I have some kick-ass playlists. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one playlist. I have surgery playlists for my OR. So they have to be work appropriate. And one of them, I just put all of my lists together, and it's 64 hours long. And it took us quite a while to get through it because we just went alphabetically in the OR, and it's just every kind of genre you could possibly think of in it. But I have hundreds of playlists that I've used. Like I said, like my little Spotify thing said that I had listened to 125 different genres of music this year. I didn't even know there were that many genres of music. But I guess since I listen to foreign music, there might be like Hindi pop.
There aren't that many genres of music.
You said there aren't?
There aren't. There can't be.
Well, hold on. Hold on. Let me find my, because
well, that's the thing. We used to call it 80s new wave music, and now it's come down to the post-punk revival, ska revival, second generation ska, all those different things like that, where it was like But then at that point in time, I agree with. It's almost too hard to then play a song by genre, you know. Like we used to just like whenever Apple Music came out, you'd be like, oh, okay, play everything that's like 80s pop or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or rock or something. And now it's like, oh, it's so beaten down to the last one. If you said if I play third wave ska, you know, there's 3 songs in the whole, you know, genre. And so therefore you just listen to the same songs over and
Well,
over. I mean, it can't.
I think some of mine is more like because I listen to foreign music, so it's not just like pop, rap, metal. It's more like then it turns into Hindi pop, Hindi rap, Hindi rebel or bleh, metal.
Not
There's
indie rock.
Hindi
Indie
rock,
rock.
Hindi, Hindi.
Yeah, it's like, that's
I do love indie music though, and then that
yeah,
breaks
no, I
down
understand.
into indie rock, indie folk. You know,
Well,
you
yeah,
have
but I mean, is that not the PC world gone mad?
it's very true. I mean, but I get
I mean,
some of it.
even though from the standpoint of that, based on the amount of people in the world, indie rock should be technically rock,
Agreed.
and then it should be American rock, British rock.
Right. But they also, like you said, they have new
But
wave
that's not.
pop.
But
They've
that's not
got
where
mainstream
that's not
pop.
where Capitol Records is, baby. It's in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
so it's Hindi rock. Yes, I'm digressing. I digress.
All right. Well, you digress a lot.
I did.
So the Honey Island swamp monster. Bum, bum, bum.
Hang on. Weren't we going to ask me about my week at some point, guys? I feel thoroughly marginalised.
He hasn't said what happened to him tonight. He had a traumatic experience today.
All right. Yeah. Just, all right then, Tom. What happened to you this week?
Sorry, guys. I was just waiting for that. I've been brewing that one for some time. No, nothing major. Just I went.
Why did you lie? Why? What was the point in that?
For fun.
Oh, okay.
He's like,
I'm glad you had a laugh.
To make a melodramatic.
Yeah, no, I respect that. Okay. Right. Anyway, so the Honey Island swamp monster.
Go on, Richard. Go for it.
Okay, so the Honey Island swamp monster is Louisiana's Bigfoot. We all know about Louisiana. What's in
yeah,
Louisiana?
I've never been there.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Yeah, that's a good one. Tom, what's in Louisiana?
Don't they have some kind of alligator or something?
What's
cryptid?
in Louisiana? Seriously good food.
Dog
Seriously good
boys or
people.
whatever.
Come on.
All right. Okay, fine. Niki, what's in Louisiana?
Did I say there's like a dog boy or like some kind of like alligator cryptid or some bullshit, right?
Yes, there is.
Swamp.
But I'm talking about the Rougarou is the
Rougarou. Yeah.
Oh, also Cajun Pawn Stars.
Yes.
They've also got the Cajun werewolf and stuff. But seriously, guys, what is in Louisiana apart from New Orleans, good food, the Rougarou, and
Seriously
Mardi Gras?
good people.
Well, the correct answer was a bayou.
Okay.
So they've got
But there's
huge...
technically bayou in more than just Louisiana.
No, it's only in Louisiana.
Are you sure?
Pretty damn sure about that one.
I think that if you check along the south, that there's parts of other places that have sort of a bayou type place in it. I mean,
right, yeah, but if it's not in Louisiana, it's just a swamp.
Oh, all right. Okay,
if you're in Louisiana, it's a bayou. If you're anywhere else, it's a swamp.
All right.
So technically, the area around at the bottom of my garden is bayou, but it's just a marshland swamp.
No, not really, because you got beat by the French today. So we are going to call the bottom of Richard's garden Bayou, the Carlisle Bayou.
Shut up, Kevin. Now, the bayou is a huge area of interconnected swamps filled with Cajuns and gators and mystery and voodoo. But it's also home to the Honey Island swamp monster, which, as I previously mentioned, is Louisiana's Bigfoot. It's, it is the another name for it is the Rougarou, which has already been brought up. It's also called the Louisiana Wookiee, and also the Thing. So ripping off various movie franchises right there. There's not many pictures of it. There's only 2 known videos of it. It's commonly associated with the Folk Monster, which was in, of course, a very famous Bigfoot movie, Bigfoot documentary. Is that a movie or a documentary, Kevin?
The fog monster, the fog monster that was in
Boggy Creek.
Boggy Creek. Yes, those were reconstructions of people's people's encounters. That there's no film of the creature itself. They did recreate certain parts of it for for the film The Legend of Boggy Creek, and and a lot of people see that, but the legend of Boggy Creek, the legend continues, is a movie that you should watch if you are interested in it. It was lampooned by the Mystery Science Theater 3000 people.
It's lampooned by everyone. Everyone's
Yeah.
lampooned that film.
Yes, that was, but that's kind of an interesting film. But the idea of it is of that that this had happened, and that people, but I mean at the same time, the killing Bigfoot, or what was it, shooting Bigfoot, or some show like that was on Discovery Channel for a year.
Shooting Bigfoot.
Yeah, was based on that whole idea of that. I mean, not Ken Gearhart, but the other one, the one that looks like Ken Gearhart. I mean, there's those 2 guys that look like they're twin brothers, and they have the same douchebag kind of plastic hat that they wear. So it's the other douchebag. He wrote all these different stories about it, and yeah, and that's. I mean, there's money out there for some people writing about the fog monster.
But we're not talking about that. But it's closely associated. That's what it's called in Arkansas.
Really?
Which is where the legend of Bollock.
Yeah, I'm not going to say. Don't say anything, Nikki.
No, come on, say it. Say it.
It's Arkansas.
It's not Arkansas, because it's not the
Arkansas.
It's not the Kansas City Chiefs, is it? It's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Listen, it's Arkansas and it's Kansas.
It's Kansas and it's Arkansas.
We've stolen our language from many different languages, so we do not actually speak English. It is Arkansas and Kansas. You're welcome.
Anyway, the legend of Boggy Creek takes place in Arkansas, and the Folk Monster is part of that. But that is part of the of the swamps that connect to the Louisiana Bayou, and that is why it is connected with the Honey Island Swamp Monster or the Rougarou.
Correct.
So there's that whole thing. Again, I looked for some video about the Honey Island, but there's nothing out there. That no pictures, no video. It's just anecdotes.
Okay, but there was a guy, and I can't remember who. Okay, so this comes down to and I thought this was the real reason that you were going to talk about the Honey Island Swamp Monster this week, because of the amount of grief that was or attention that the previous show had gotten in regards to the MK Davis idea of the massacre
Well, obviously, I was building up to that, but we'll get to that towards the end of the show.
Okay, but so what I'm saying is that he went on the idea of a guy that had filmed it, that had filmed the
there is said to be a film. I couldn't find of it.
I don't think anybody's seen it.
Harlan Ford in the 60s apparently got a video of it, but I couldn't find it for love nor money.
Yeah, I think that was the thing, because it was a question about whether he had, hoaxed it. But then the family member had said that, that they had found it in a box or something like that, that somebody had been looking for, and why would he hoax the film, keep it to himself, and then never show it to anybody until after he'd passed on? That was the sort of idea. But I mean, technically, by that point in time, we had already had what I think the large amount of people would consider to be a large Bigfoot hoax on film. But some of us are still, don't believe that the Bluff Creek thing is a hoax. But I think the vast majority of people think it's a hoax at this point in time, and also that the Honey Island swamp monster could be a hoax. But I think there was these anecdotal stories about the Honey Island swamp monster being sort of which one is supposed to be more aggressive in those? Is the Honey Island swamp monster was not supposed to be aggressive really either, was it? So I mean, according to the stories, but the idea of some of these. I remember somebody said that the sort of the Fouke monster at some point in time was like a three-toed ape creature, which makes no sense.
Yeah, that came up in the movie a bunch of times. They had those footprints that were three-toed.
Right. And, and then everybody said, well, trying to explain why, for example, Patty, the Bigfoot, had 5 toes, and that this southern Bigfoot apparently had 3 toes.
Well, that's because of all the inbreeding, because it's from the south.
That's what they said. They actually said that was a genetic. No, I'm serious. I'm dead serious that it was a genetic anomaly because of inbreeding. That the amount of, I mean, which makes no sense. I mean, first of all, you couldn't be an evolutionary thing, and second of all, it would have had to. I don't know, brother. I mean, the whole thing. It was whenever people started going into the debate of 3-toe things versus 5-toe things, and how that could possibly be scientific in the way they were explaining it. You just came to the idea, okay, there's no way these people know what the hell they're talking about. You know what I mean? There's just no way. And yet they are. I mean, if you say that to somebody, they will get all up in arms about how that would work, but there isn't. I mean, believe me, as much inbreeding as there's been in my family on my mother's side that has to do with Northern Ireland and Scotland, I should have 3 toes. You know what I mean? Because literally they've been breeding with each other for 2,000 years, and I still have a 5 ski. You know what I mean? On my little toesies. But anyway, so you can't convince me. I mean, I'm our family is the family that Southern people joke about whenever they talk about inbreeding.
Good stuff, Kevin. Good stuff.
There you are now.
But
so yeah. What do you think, Richard?
What do I think about what?
The Honey Island swamp monster.
If there's a Bigfoot anywhere, it's going to be in Florida or Washington. I think Louisiana's a bit too much of a hostile environment for a primate. And surely after the whole Katrina thing, one of them would have turned up dead.
Well, you would think that, but I mean, if they were in the woods, where I mean, in the jungle, I mean, the swamp, mangroves, and all that stuff, sure, it would be at before somebody would even find it. I mean, you
Well,
know that.
it's funny that you should bring that one up, Kevin.
Yeah.
Because it's entirely possible it was it by Bob Gimlin.
Yes. Well, I
You
mean,
see,
here.
this is what happened. Right, the Katrina disaster killed a bunch of them, and the government sent Bob Gimlin down there after that, and he just munched his way through all the dead Pony Island swamp monsters,
Right.
all the Rougaroos.
Well, well, you see, this is the idea. I mean, I remember what. I mean, this is sort of not related, but anyway. But there was the idea that these Cuban people wanted to take over Cuba, at that went to the Bay of Pigs, and they were trained in the bayous of Louisiana because there was just literally no one around. You know what I mean? And so they went and tried to look for this place where they were supposedly had all these things, and all the gear would have been literally wasted away by this point in time. Any wood um, you know, like web gear or any sort of clothing and everything like that would have disintegrated in the last 40 years since, or 50 years since that happened, 60 years, excuse me. But so they would have all disappeared. So, you know, in a lot of ways, as much as people say Washington would be a place that you would have you know, Bigfoot or whatever,
Bigfoot, yeah.
I could really see that in a swamp environment, that because of the way that you get jungle rot on all these different types of things, that things would last a super short time, especially if you had any sort of, you know, scatter. And but the idea of it being so, I mean, the food source uh, would be, I think, really, really good if you knew what you were doing. I mean, you know, you've got fish, you've got alligator. Obviously, that's really, but you've got those huge nutria. I think that in Louisiana, people used to, which are basically like big sort of groundhogs or rats or something like that, that live in that live in like the swamp water. And people that had first moved to Louisiana had were you could live just on the amount of nutria they could kill, you know.
What?
And
What's the nutria?
nutria, yeah, look it up. It's like a big sort of,
Louisiana nutria. Oh, yeah, it's a real thing. Ah, it's basically a capybara.
yeah, it's a big rodent. It's a big rodent, and there's so much of them that yeah, that you know, that you know, obviously, maybe that I said it wrong by saying rat, but it's a huge rodent, and if you know, if you were willing to eat that, and apparently they don't taste that bad, but if you were willing to eat that, you could survive for a very, very long time.
Yeah, it looks like a small beaver.
Right? Yeah, and they swim around in the water and all that. So, you know, like I said, it's yeah. I mean, I mean, I've seen some marmots. I thought they were supposed to be bigger than marmots, but I've seen marmots up in the mountains and stuff like that, and some of them
Yeah.
are pretty big, you know. But that's what I'm saying. From that standpoint, I would think it would be an ideal place for a creature
Oh, they're not a
to.
native species. They were imported.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't.
they're originally from Brazil.
I didn't know that.
Are we still talking about the capybara?
Nutria.
Well, it's like a capybara, this nutria thing.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, we're just trying to talk about the food resources that would be there in Louisiana if they would have had it. But anyway, but That's why I said, from that standpoint, I think you could support yourself down there for a long time if you. I mean, human beings are not sort of. But that being said, right? If you go down to the Somerset levels or something like that, they lived around huge swampy areas. I mean, I understand that's not a swamp, that's a marsh, but still areas of highlands between marshy areas that they sort of transversed with sort of bridges and stuff like that, walkways, and even as far back as they Stone Age or sort of Copper and Bronze Age. So I mean, so to say that people can adapt to that, they have for a long time, and maybe for security reasons or whatever, maybe Bigfoot did sort of make that sort of thing work. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, Gary's chiming in. You've got Nutria living up where you are. Gary.
Where I live? No,
where
we've
Gabby
we've got Mormons. Oh, where Gabby lives? I don't know.
But yeah, they are an invasive species. They were introduced in the 1930s. So people wouldn't have been eating them back in like the 1800s and stuff.
I didn't know that. I was convinced of the fact that people had told me stories that their whole family had lived on, but like I mean, I believe almost any story that anybody tells me. And why would I believe that
there were stories of that? It doesn't mean that it was reality. Oh, right. So you're on the Mississippi River, so. Okay, that makes sense. They would come up the Mississippi, wouldn't they?
Yeah, she's not very far away from me. We share the Mississippi.
You share it? Oh, between the two of you?
We do. It's just ours.
It's just yours. It's just Nikki and Gabby's.
It's Nikki and Gabby's Mississippi River.
They come up on the barges. Oh, right. How big are they? They're like smaller than a capybara, right? I can't get good size comparison from the pictures. If they're coming up to on the Mississippi, then you should have them in Tennessee.
We do. That's what I said. We do have them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yep. They like to hang out. Yeah, because for the same reason. Because we have barges that come here as
Nutria.
well.
That's USA. Here we go. So if I can just find myself a nice little map here. We've got Nutria all over. Whoa, you got a bunch in Oregon and Washington.
I didn't know that. I mean, like I said,
if I know my states right.
Well, it would be the two most upper Washington. I mean, two most upper Western states.
Okay, here we go. Let's just share this on the old podcast. The map. £30. Yeah. So small. So a small beaver then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what could you get off that? But you could get what 15 or 20 pounds of meat off that. That's good chili.
Yeah.
Nutria chili.
So you can see the red area where they're originally from. And then you can see where they've spread to. Oh, across the.
Does that look like it's in Greece? Is that what it's saying? It's not in Europe, is it?
Yeah, that's Greece, all right. Yeah, that absolutely is Greece.
Here we got Greece,
Turkey,
all around the Red Sea.
That's like Georgia, isn't it?
Yeah. Got Georgia, Tennessee, Florida.
I mean, to the country in Russia, no, by the Black Sea.
Yes, you're right.
Yes, both Georgias.
Yes.
I was watching the YouTube video instead. So you were saying Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, but your cursor was over Europe. And I was just like, no.
Nikki, there's a country called Georgia in Europe, yeah?
Yeah, I know there's a Georgia in Europe, but he was like Florida, Tennessee.
There you go.
You got the Mediterranean Sea and you got the Red Sea.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Japan. They're all over Japan. I don't know what this is. Is this Gambia or
there? It's just below Somalia, and I'm not quite sure.
Huh.
It's not Tanzania.
Yeah, the map isn't correct. That is correct, Gabby, because it's not showing Tennessee up there either.
But they are. Look, they do look like they hang out in Tijuana.
Tijuana.
Oh, look at it. It's right. It's right below the border. It's right below the border. Oh wait, we can't tell.
If I know my states, we got Florida here.
Yes.
And we got Louisiana. We got
right above
Florida, Georgia, Alabama would be next to that.
Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, down this area.
Yeah, obviously Louisiana to Texas.
Yeah, Texas is a huge spot here. Yeah, but and I know they think that Texas is this whole thing here, but
well, yeah, and then it's like parts of like Idaho.
But this top left thing is doing me head in because this is Washington, Oregon, right up here.
And you would have thought I would have heard of that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to further Google this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nutria, Washington State.
Because if that's the case,
along
never
the Rhodian River.
Gabby says that the pink should run all the way up the Mississippi. I would agree.
Yeah. Along the Columbian River and north to Skagit County.
Oh, see, I am literally one county below Skagit County. And north to Skagit County would be the county that I'm in.
There you are. Well, they're there.
Apparently so. Maybe that's what I've been thinking was Bigfoot the whole time. Was a nutria.
It would make sense.
How about this, Richard, for an idea? How about this as a theory that anywhere nutria goes, Bigfoot have also gone?
The Honey Island swamp monster follows.
They live hand in hand. Where the food source goes, which means that, of course, that if you look at your map, in Calais, there are nutria and Bigfoot. Which, according to the old stories of the Homme Sauvage.
Let's see that. Nutria UK. If there's any in there. Oh, yeah, we got them here as well.
See? Maybe that's what we should do. We should contact Netflix and see if we could start finding nutria. Do you think anybody? I heard tell of a nutrient down there.
Until the 80s, until the nutria populations were greatly reduced. In the 60s, the population began to increase until 81, in fact, where all nutria in the UK was successfully eradicated.
No way.
Yeah.
I heard tell of some nutria in Glasgow.
Got them in Ireland as well.
Yeah.
Japan, USA. Yeah, they're pretty much all over the world. Although, calling a human being referring to any other species as hostile and invasive is a joke.
Right.
Agreed.
Well, how can you get rid of what is it? The gray squirrel that's the normal one, and the red squirrel is the invasive, supposedly.
No, other way around.
Other way around. And then how come you?
I've been campaigning for years that the best way to deal with this situation is to release American red squirrels who have live with American gray squirrels. So if you want red squirrels, that's how we get them.
Right. But do you think that or you could get the nutria, and you just couldn't you put like little laser beams on their head, and they could go around shooting little gray squirrels.
Maybe.
Seems like there should be a lot more remote control violence involved in killing off these species.
Nice.
Well, if you think about it, honestly, listen to this, because if you made a video game called Hunting Nutria or something like that, where you had like a little wee robot that went around and you just shot it in the woods, you would get kids to know about nature, and you would get rid of the problem, wouldn't you? I mean, you could just sell it as a video game.
Yeah, that's true. A good idea.
It kind of reminds me of Weird Al's Weasel Stomping Day song. There's a whole video, people just stomping weasels. Yes. It's kind of horrific. But they should have a nutria stomping day.
Right.
There you go.
Pencil Neck Geeks. Freddie Blassie song, Pencil Neck Geeks. You would know that one, Richard, because you like wrestling.
I'm a big fan of wrestling, yes.
Yes. And so you know Freddie Blassie.
Of course.
Of course.
All right, so are you going to get to the point where, and it's still on there. You can still find the MK Davis sort of Honey Island Swampinator stories.
Good times. I mean, we had fun with the MK Davis one back in the day. This one wasn't really a rehash of that. I just wanted to talk about it, but as it turned out, there really wasn't anything to talk about.
Well, no, he went and looked for the Honey Island swamp monster, and he had then met somebody down by the river, and went to their house because somebody had told him that they had done something, and they had found sort of this three-toed foot that was totally made up, and but they had it. It was totally made up and articulated. In certain areas, it's actually way more technically advanced than a foot stomper. So you have to say that. So if this actually was a foot of a three-toed Honey Island swamp monster, the person who had done the hoax was technically way better than sort of Ray Wallace and all these people that had done it on the West Coast. Far more advanced as far as that goes, and supposedly he had seen, and it's on video, this foot that you can do it, and you can look it up under MK Davis's channel, I think it is. So according to him, he debunked that. He debunked that the Honey Island swamp monster.
He debunked something.
That's what he says.
MK Davis debunked something.
Yeah,
Mister. I took the Patterson Gimlin footage, turned the red filter up, and invented an entire massacre theory.
But at that point in time, I think he realized that debunking something does not make one famous. Obviously, because nobody. It does not give you any kind of a credibility.
That's an incredibly cynical and accurate idea. So anyway, but that's going to wrap us up for this week. We will return next week, despite the hopes of many, where we will discuss the other times the bubonic plague wrecked Europe.
Ooh. Well, what time are you talking about? The time that it was?
No. I'm talking. There was the first major time with the bubonic plague that we all learn about in school, but I want to talk about the other times the bubonic plague popped up.
Intriguing.
Okay. Staged a reunion tour and went back on.
Right.
Cool.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think that is, Tom? Why do you think that is, Richard? Well, we could talk about it next week, but it's interesting that it's come through several times, and yet we don't want to talk about it more than once.
Well, it's an ongoing thing. I mean, there was a case of someone 2 years ago in America that got the plague. It still happens to this day. It hasn't gone away. It's not like smallpox and measles and that other one, mumps. It comes back,
Well, do you think smallpox and measles and all those other ones have gone? I mean, if anything, those will come back. I would think.
They're waiting for their time to strike.
Well,
but I don't want to talk about the whole plague epidemic that was the precursor to the Great Fire of London, which conspiracy tinfoil hat was obviously done deliberately to stop the plague. But I'm talking about all the other times the bubonic plague wrecked Europe.
Right. Oh, but one other thing I wanted to ask you about too, because I mean, this is something that they've been playing up in America, and I don't know, I don't have the British perspective on it. Did they talk very much about it this week about the Germans, the German GSG-9 getting into these, stopping these folks from overtaking the Reichstag again?
No, I didn't hear that.
You didn't? Okay. Yeah. They made a big deal of it in America on some channels because of the fact that they said that there were some German QAnon supporters who were planning on overtaking the German government because of the fact that those were the deep state. Now, I mean, I thought that was awfully hokey to me, that the whole idea that their Germans had a deep state that was against, I don't know what the whole idea was, but somebody brought it up to me that was a family member this week, so which was disturbing to me, and I just wanted to see if you guys had heard about it at all.
No, I never heard of it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, again, the news channel does report what they want to report. I understand that, and they don't always report everything that we need to know about. But that was the thing of the week, where on one of the days they were like, "Oh yeah, well this happens in America. January the 6th happened in America, but it's also maybe going to happen in Germany," which was an interesting thing. That was it. I just wanted to ask that question. That was it.
That's good stuff. No, but I haven't heard anything about that. Tom, have you heard anything about it?
Nope. It's a lot of what we've talked about tonight, to be honest, has been very new to me.
Right. Well, I'm just all I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if next week they say, "Oh, somebody's trying to overthrow the British government because of the fact that QAnon and that Prince Charles is a freaking part of the deep state."
It's so hard to know anything in 2022.
Right. So I mean, that's the thing where we don't know how things. I mean, it's just a question. It's probably nothing, and I was just interested, and that was all.
Maybe one week we could. I'm not actually taking the piss. One week we could debate epistemology. How do we know what we know?
Exactly. I don't know.
Do you believe your eyes, your ears?
That's a good question.
Oh, good ideas. Anyway, that will do us for this week. We will return next week, despite the hopes of many. It's good night from me, and it's good night from them.
Good night.